These are all companies that have been kind of expecting something to come on the pharma sector this year, the analyst explained. The Commerce Department has been investigating this particular sector for quite a few months now, and so a lot of these guys have made pledges worth potentially billions of US dollars in the type of manufacturing. However, the analyst cautioned that the fate of those pledges depends largely on the fine print of Trump's tariff order. It kind of comes up to Trump and how exactly this is worded as to whether or not that's enough to satisfy the requirement to be exempted from this, they said. Another complication is the potential conflict between Trump's new policy and existing trade agreements. The analyst pointed out that the US and the EU reached an agreement earlier this summer to impose only 15% tariffs on pharmaceuticals. Whether the new 100% tariff plan would override that pact remains unclear. That's the other open question here too, the analyst noted. So lots still unanswered. And the deadline really, as we've mentioned, is coming up next. The use of Section 232 to justify tariffs has been a recurring theme in Trump's trade agenda. Originally intended to protect industries vital to US national security, the provision has been applied to sectors such as steel, aluminum and automobiles during his first term. Critics argue that expanding it to pharmaceuticals, an industry heavily dependent on international supply chains, risks disrupting global healthcare markets. Legal experts are also debating the resilience of the new tariffs against potential challenges. Previous country-specific measures faced lengthy disputes at the World Trade Organization and in US courts. However, by framing the latest tariffs as sector-wide national security measures, the Trump administration may have given them firmer legal footing. The pharmaceutical industry's reaction has been cautious but increasingly vocal. Companies that have invested heavily in US manufacturing facilities are demanding clear guidance on whether their efforts will spare them from the impending levies. Economists warn that if the 100% tariff is broadly applied, it could drive up drug prices for American consumers while disrupting global supply chains. They also note that retaliatory tariffs from trade partners could further escalate the economic fallout. Businesses are essentially waiting for the US to wake up so that we can get a few more details on what exactly this is going to look like, the analyst said, emphasizing the need for clarity before next Wednesday's deadline. Global markets have reacted nervously to the uncertainty. Pharmaceutical stocks in Europe and Asia dipped amid concerns about potential disruptions to US imports. Trade diplomats in Brussels and Geneva have privately expressed alarm that Trump's move could unravel hard-fought compromises on drug tariffs reached earlier in the year. If the new measures override the summer's US-EU deal, officials warn, it could trigger a new transatlantic trade dispute at a time when Washington and Brussels had been seeking closer cooperation on economic and security issues. As of now, the world is still waiting for official clarification from the US government on the scope, timing and exemptions of the new tariffs. Business leaders and allied governments hope that more detailed guidance will be released before the measures come into force. For now, the analyst concluded, we stand right there now, but I think we're waiting for the US to wake up so that we can get a few more details on what exactly this is going to look like. The announcement of the new tariffs through social media rather than through formal policy channels has fueled criticism that the administration is prioritizing political optics over predictable economic governance. Experts stress that the lack of clarity on key questions, including exemptions for domestic investment, compliance with international agreements, and timelines for implementation, has created unnecessary turbulence in global markets. The tension between Trump's nationalist trade agenda and the need for stable global supply chains is once again at the forefront of US economic policy making. Whether the administration offers more precise details in the coming days will determine how businesses and allies respond and how severe the economic fallout could be. As the clock ticks down to next Wednesday, industries, investors and foreign governments remain in suspense, bracing for what could be one of the most consequential shifts in US trade policy in years.